Hello everyone, I'm Silent Death, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Science Harder Campaign. Today, we are going to start the same way we started the last episode, with a Pelican Mark II flying up to the moon base to top off its fuel before it heads to the moon. Hopefully this one will be enough to fill her up, but if not, we'll just have to launch another one next week. Launching another Pelican Mark II does give me a second chance to try the whole landing thing, actually hitting the runway this time. Did a much slower entry, very shallow, and then coasted. Didn't drop below 30k until we were probably below 1,000 meters per second. Though we have to use parachutes to stop us from overshooting. And now it is time for some more chaos scripting. We have our little test probe landed on the surface of the moon, and we need to get it up into orbit, which means we need a script for a gravity turn. So let's go look at that. What we have here is an equation for a gravity turn that I found in a Google book. Unfortunately, some of the pages around the equation were missing, redacted, because it was a Google book, and I'm having to guess what A is. But this is a gravity turn for planets with no atmosphere, or bodies with no atmosphere. So psi is the angle from the vertical, so from 0 is straight up, 90 is laying flat, Q is the thrust to weight ratio, A, I think, is the desired orbital velocity, and V is the current velocity. So we get tangent of psi over 2 raised to the Q divided by sine of psi times A equals velocity. What that works out to is something like this. Different thrust to weight ratios from 1.1 all the way up to 14.5. So low thrust to weight ratios are up here. It's kind of how far you're pitched over. So this would be straight horizontal, and this is vertical. So they go vertical for a ways, then pitch over, and do. But we're way down here at 14.5 is the thrust to weight ratio for our probe, so it's more of a gravity fall over than a gravity turn, because we pitch over really quick. Almost starting out horizontal. Okay. Now let's look at the script for that. We had gravity turn script, which I've tried a whole bunch of different equations, and this is the one that kind of worked best. So parameter is our desired altitude, that's desired orbital altitude. Then we calculate the speed we need to be going for that orbital altitude. Then we calculate our thrust to weight, which is calculated from the node utilities, which you've already seen. Then we set up a list, a gravity turn table, the equation, this equation, you can't solve this symbolically. If we tried to, say, solve for this, it'll go for like 5 minutes and then tell us that there's no symbolic result. So you can't solve that. So what we have to do is we calculate a whole bunch of v's for a given angle, and we put those in a table, and then we just guide our gravity turn by that table. So we've calculated the desired velocity, our thrust to weight. Then we create a list and initialize it. And right here, so degree is 0, and until degree is greater than 90, we set the suborbital velocity to calculate velocity from angle, degree, velocity, and thrust to weight ratio, which basically takes those values, plugs it into that equation, and returns the value. Then it prints them out after adding it to the gravity turn table, and it returns the gravity turn table. Now if we go to launch, this is the script to launches. So it calculates all the vessel stats, runs the gravity turn library, then runs or sets up the variable for the gravity turn, sets the desired altitude to 100 kilometers for this result. Then we set the gravity turn table to calculate gravity turn, desired alt. Then this is the stage thing. This is the panels thing. We turn off the panels while we're sitting on the ground just to make sure we don't break them by hitting something. And here we lock the steering to almost straight up. So 90 would be straight up. Set index to 0. Lock throttle to 100%. And until index +1 is greater than gravity turn length, or ship apoapsis is greater than or equal to desired altitude, look up the index for round ship surface speed. So I'm basically using the horizontal speed. Then set the index to, find the angle, gravity turn table, and the ship surface speed. And let's go. So find angle just looks for the velocity inside of the gravity table, and it returns the index, the closest index to that velocity. This is a pretty standard lookup function. So after we hit going horizontal, which is going to be here, then we wait until the ship apoapsis is greater than or equal to a desired altitude. Unlock steering, unlock throttle, blah blah blah. Turn all that stuff off. Then we lock the steering to the sun position. Turn on the panels just to make sure they're on. Recalculate the vessel stats because we boosted, and we run Circularize desired altitude. Circularize is very much similar to the capture program that we've shown earlier. We've just changed it so that we can have this little flag here to be able to use one program for both of them. And this just says if the desired altitude is less than the ship periapsis, then we use the periapsis. So basically that means we start the periapsis if the periapsis is higher than our desired altitude. What you do down here is just swapping where there's a used peri, it just swaps periapsis with apoapsis for calculating things. So quickly, we've already done this, but I'll go through it again. We find our desired orbital velocity based on our semi-major axis for our current periapsis or apoapsis and the desired altitude. Then we set a node at our either periapsis or apoapsis. for the difference between the velocity and our calculated node speed. Node speed is how fast we're actually going. And then we run execute burn, which burns. Then we do that again on the other side, so at the periapsis, regardless of which one we started out with, it'll be at the periapsis. And this is the second burn to circularize us, and that should finish us off. We wait 10 and remove the node and then turn SAS on, and that's all we have to do. So let's check that script out. Okay, let's see, we want KOS, we want it to be archive, we want to boot, make sure that we're on archive, switch to 0, run, launch, go. There goes the vessel stats, there goes the gravity table. It doesn't take very long to calculate that, so I may try to do it instantaneously once we get a gravitometer thingamaduper and the accelerometer. For the angle, I'm only using half a degree increments. Still in the table, and we're at the end of the table. So now it's just kind of locked in until the apoapsis is where we want. Now we're doing the circularize thing. So our current velocity is 415 and we want to go 463. So we have 47.26 meters per second node there to get our periapsis up. Let's forward a little bit faster. And we're locked to the sun position. Make sure we get nice and good charge. And there goes the alarm clock. Close that. Focus on the node. Burn in now. Periapsis is at. Come on. Okay. Periapsis is at 9.8 something. And we're doing the other side. Our desired velocity is 466.09. We are currently going like 466 point something. We only have a 0.08 or 0.8 meters per second burn. Not very much because we're only off by a couple kilometers. So let's go do that. Again, facing the sun. And with the little orbital node. Face it. So we're going retrograde. Three, two, one, burn. Just a kind of little spit of a burn. Get that last little bit. Okay, it gave up. And I might want to lock it to sun position at this point. But right now I just have it hanging out right here. We are in orbit, and this would be where we would do a transfer burn, assuming we're going to do a transfer burn, which I'm not sure if I'm going to do or not. So we only have one set of scripts left to do, which is the kind of main program that runs all the other scripts. Other than that, we should be done with this, as this script here, these probes, our address probes, are the only thing keeping us from upgrading to the latest version of a Kerbal Space Program. I want to hurry up and get those done. But let's head back to the Space Center and do our last launch for this episode. We have all of these people that just finished their downtime. And we have some contracts. Orbital station, an orbital station around Moon, orbital station around the Sun, that was that one, and an outpost on the surface of Minimus. So this is for 12 Kerbals Research Lab. This is for Moon. See, 7 Kerbals, Research Lab, and Viewing Cupola. I don't have a Viewing Cupola. I may use the other station for that. And this one is around the Sun, so just have 5 Kerbals, so that's not very hard. We're going to launch these people. First, let's go check I'll go check the Sun base. Not the Sun base, but the Moon base, and see if it has a Viewing Cupola. And if it can do this contract, we won't do it with this guy. We'll do it with that guy. If that makes any sense. So I will be back when we're ready to launch. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. Bill and Grunt, a big Grunt, are in the command console for this particular route. Grunt, big Grunt, was the only pilot that we had that had any experience. So he gets to be flying this even though he doesn't need the experience, which means we had to break up the B team because Toys is not on board. We did grab a handful of new crewmen, new Kerbals, Kerbal Knights. 3 or 4 pilots, a few scientists, and a couple of engineers. All crammed into this, so it has the maximum crew. Having to use the atomic rockets because this doesn't have a very high thrust to weight ratio, at least not initially. Has a little bit of time getting that orbit thing going. And we're just using the good speed of fuel pumps to pump everything around, mostly in circles. But it works for now. And we do decide to go to the Moon. Though we kind of overshoot a little bit. And have to adjust that, and we end up going really close to the Moon. Base contract is on its way to the Moon to get the guys some experience, and then it'll be off to Minimus. But we're going to end the episode here. Next episode, we'll continue with the base contract. We will do some more chaos scripting, get our dress probes, a little bit of burn. Our short range comsats for Duna are going to have its adjustment burn. And we need to focus on getting some science and stuff from Minimus and the Moon. We have to wait a while until we get some pilots and people to send off to the moon. Which I don't think we have anyone for a while. The pilot or a scientist. I suppose we could go ahead and send some people there and then do like we did with the Minmus, send a taxi over with the scientist. That might work. We'll pick up some contracts probably to do next episode. And then start working on sending some people out to Eve so that we can get those contracts done as well. I don't think the next episode will take as long as this episode. I've already started on the scripting part, and it should be a lot easier. It's mostly just calling the programs that we've already written and making it look good. But like if you like, subscribe if you're not, leave a comment if you have anything to say. I do read all the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.